The night Ethan finally made his move on Vanessa, she didn't push him away. Instead, she let him have his way with her all night long. But the very next day, standing outside the VIP booth, he heard his childhood friend ask Vanessa, "Van, did you really hook up with Ethan?" Vanessa confirmed it without hesitation. He felt a shy, warm rush of joy, thinking she was staking her claim, announcing their relationship to her inner circle. But then, Vanessa's voice, lazy, magnetic, and beautiful, delivered a brutal follow-up. "He threw himself at me. I'd be an idiot to turn down a free ride. Besides, consider it practice. I don't want to screw things up with Justin." Ethan felt his blood run cold. "I'm not Ethan. I'm Justin, the guy Vanessa can't seem to get over." And I was standing right outside the door, too. Inside the private booth, which was understated but screamed old money. Someone suddenly asked, "Van, did you really sleep with Ethan?" "Yeah." "But wait, aren't you with Justin?" The female voice that replied was husky and languid, sounding casual yet incredibly seductive. It was the kind of voice that made your scalp tingle, but the words were icy. He delivered himself to my doorstep. Why waste it? Through the crack in the heavy mahogany door. The woman's face was visible through the swirling smoke. It was a face that commanded attention. Striking features, bold and beautiful. There was a beauty mark right under her right eye that made her look particularly exotic and soul-snatching amidst the curling smoke. Besides, think of it as gaining some experience so I don't hurt Justin. When Vanessa said that, my hand was resting on the mahogany door, ready to push it open. Coincidentally, I'm the Justin she was talking about. Hearing her say my name turned her cold tone into something soft and affectionate. I heard the footsteps behind me falter, the heavy thud of leather shoes on the wooden floor. I turned my head slightly and saw Ethan, the guy Vanessa had been talking about. He looked incredibly upright, the kind of guy who looks like a straight shooter. You couldn't help but look at him. He was over 6 feet tall, dressed in a sharp, tailored suit. Inside and out, he looked like the definition of a successful man. He had heard Vanessa, too. He was trembling. Despite the suit jacket, he looked like he was freezing to death. His eyes turned red instantly, and his fists were clenched tight. But when he saw me look back, he reined in his emotions. When our eyes met, his expression was ice cold. I let out a soft chuckle, turned back, and pushed the door open. When Vanessa saw me walk in, the cold edge of her mouth softened. "You're here." She crushed her slim cigarette into the ashtray. Then she shot a look at her friend, who was still puffing away. The friend, looking resigned, stubbed out his cigarette and tossed it. That wasn't enough. After a light kick from Vanessa's high heel, the friend, looking defeated and helpless, got up to open the window for ventilation. He didn't forget to tease her, though. In this world, other than Mr. Justin, who could make Vanessa willingly put out a cigarette? Just because you don't like the smell of smoke, none of us, her friends since childhood, are allowed to light up when you're around. I sat down next to Vanessa, feeling the heat rise in my face. I looked at her, acting shy but trying to hide it, and said in a low voice, "It's all your fault. You're ruining my image in front of your friends." Vanessa patted my head, indulgent and resigned. Okay, it's all my fault. Besides, your image in front of them is future husband." She hooked her red lips into a smile. "But in my heart, your image is different." I blinked, waiting for the rest. "You're the Smith family's most handsome, dashing, introverted, and thoughtful little prince. Coming from a face that dropped dead gorgeous. Even the cheesy lines sounded sweet." Another friend clicked his tongue nearby. "Listen to that. Just listen. Who would believe that came from the ruthless CEO of the Smith Group?" I lowered my head awkwardly, the tips of my ears turning red. However, Chloe, another childhood friend who was closer to Ethan and Vanessa, changed the subject. She saw Ethan standing off to the side, biting his lip until it was white after hearing Vanessa's sweet talk to me. She pulled him over to sit beside her. With an impatient expression, she said, all right, stop showing off in front of us. It's annoying. Everyone's here, let's order. We're starving." She patted Ethan on the back, offering a silent comfort. The private dishes were served, each one accompanied by a dedicated server explaining the backstory. It was mostly just talk about how rare the ingredients were. Except for me, everyone at the table had seen it all before. After a few sentences, the servers were waved away. Vanessa and her friends talked about stocks and discussed current investment trends. Her hands, which usually signed contracts worth tens or hundreds of millions, were currently overqualified, peeling shrimp for me. Across the table, Ethan's eyes were fixed on Vanessa's pale, slender hands. His gaze was dim. When his eyes met mine, I raised an eyebrow slightly, a flash of provocation flickering in my eyes that no one else caught. When Vanessa tried to put the peeled shrimp in my bowl, I whispered for her to feed me by hand. She agreed with an indulgent smile. I obediently ate the food she fed me. Through all of this, a gaze remained fixed on me, feeling like it wanted to drill a hole through my body, just as I secretly tried to pour myself a glass of wine. This woman, who seemed to be casually chatting with her friends, it was like she had eyes in the back of her head. She caught my intention. She pinned down my sneaking hand and poured me a glass of mango juice instead. No alcohol. This stuff is too strong, it'll give you a stomachache. I pursed my lips and gave up. So when I saw Ethan down a glass across from me, look at you, you're only focused on stopping me. You should tell Mr. Ito not to drink so much either, I advised with immense kindness. Ethan shot me a cold look, his tone freezing. None of your business. Worry about yourself. My tone dropped, and I lowered my eyes slightly. I was just worried about you, Mr. Ito. Sorry, I overstepped. My voice sounded a little husky. I turned my head away, not wanting Vanessa to see my disappointed look, but she grabbed my chin. When she saw the redness at the corners of my eyes, she wiped away the moisture with her thumb and cooed softly, "Hey, don't be sad." But when she stood up, the air pressure around her suddenly dropped. Unlike the gentle coaxing she just gave me, her eyes were brewing a storm. She picked up the bottle near her hand and walked step by step over to Ethan. Then she filled his glass to the brim with hard liquor. Her tone was cold. "Since you like drinking so much, drink up." Ethan looked up at her, unwilling to back down. "Do you really want me to drink this?" Vanessa spat out one cold word. "Drink." Chloe tried to stop it from the side, her voice worried and annoyed. "Ben, did you forget? He drank himself into a gastric perforation for the company back then. His stomach still hasn't recovered." Ethan's eyelashes trembled. He had hope. He hoped Vanessa would feel sorry for him, just once. But after hearing that, Vanessa didn't soften at all. As if spiting Vanessa, Ethan downed the entire glass of hard liquor in one go. He choked halfway through, his face turning bright red, but he looked at Vanessa defiantly and poured himself another. Vanessa poured one. He drank one. His eyes were red from the irritation. It was like a game of chicken between the two of them. Neither would admit defeat. It was like they were seeing who would soften first or who would surrender first. The violent coughing got louder and louder. It sounded like he was going to cough up a lung. But after catching his breath, as if punishing himself, he continued to drink. Vanessa didn't say stop, so he kept drinking, until one of Vanessa's friends reminded me, "Hey boyfriend, say something to Van. She'll definitely listen to you. Their families go way back, they grew up together. It's not good to ruin the relationship like this." I acted like I had just snapped out of shock. I gave him an apologetic look. Then I said to Vanessa, "Vanessa, let it go. Look at how sick Mr. Ito looks." But Vanessa didn't tell Ethan to stop drinking. Ethan continued to down glass after glass. The bottle was already bottoming out. He kept going. I tugged on Vanessa's sleeve and whispered her name. Only then did she say indifferently, "Stop drinking." Only then did Ethan stop his mechanical drinking. He lifted a handsome but ghastly pale face, enduring the stomach pain to look at her. Vanessa turned her face away, avoiding his gaze. Finally, because of too much hard liquor, his stomach was in turmoil. Ethan couldn't hold it together anymore. He ran to the bathroom in a wretched state. When someone tried to get up to follow, I spoke up with concern. "He's throwing up in the men's room. I'll go check on him." Many of Vanessa's friends praised my kind heart. I thought so too. I really am kind. I walked out the door and strolled leisurely to the restroom. I heard the sounds from inside, like Ethan was puking up his bile. The corner of my lips hooked into a cold sneer. I looked at myself in the mirror. Handsome, introverted features. Even in a simple shirt, I couldn't hide that clean, innocent vibe. Otherwise, someone like Vanessa, who had seen plenty of hot guys, wouldn't have fallen for me at first sight. I looked harmless. Once I showed weakness, it triggered a powerful protective instinct in women. When Ethan was done vomiting, he came out clutching his stomach, looking pained. I asked with fake sincerity, "Mr. Ito, are you okay?" The corners of Ethan's eyes were red, and his face was a bit puffy, but he didn't answer my question. Instead, he countered, "You don't love Vanessa at all, do you?" He continued, talking to himself, "You heard what they said. You heard that Vanessa slept with me, but you weren't angry or jealous at all. If you really loved her, how could you be indifferent to her sleeping with another man?" My gaze landed on the faint red marks visible inside his shirt collar. I adjusted my cuffs, a gentle smile on my face. "But she just treats you as a hookup buddy. Besides, sleeping with you was just practice to improve my experience later. She loves me so much. Why should I care about a hookup buddy and a tool? Don't think you can drive a wedge between us." Clutching his stomach, looking more painful by the second, beads of sweat popping on his forehead, he said, pale-faced, "Stop with the high-sounding excuses. You just love her money. Who doesn't like money? I do like her money, but her money is part of who she is. Loving her money is equivalent to loving her. The two aren't mutually exclusive." After hearing this, he wore an expression that said I knew it. "Aren't you afraid she'll find out your true colors?" I laughed dismissively, methodically rinsing my hands under the tap. "Do you think she'd believe anything you say?" He gritted his teeth. "You don't deserve her love. One day she'll see your true face. You're just a leech living off a woman." Couldn't help but sneer. "Don't flatter yourself. Is your love pure? If she wasn't the CEO of the Smith Group, if she wasn't the sole heir, if she lost all her halos and was just a regular person, would you still like her?" He couldn't get a word out to refute me. He couldn't even firmly say yes. Shaking the water off my hands, over the sound of the hand dryer, I said, "So how is your love any different from mine?" Later, I heard he was sent to the hospital that night. Supposedly, the doctor told him to rest in the hospital for a week. But he only stayed for a day before coming back, because he had something more important to do than recover. However, I also had something very important to do. I love Vanessa. So, for her, even though I'm not good at cooking, I tried cooking for the first time and made her a love bento, just for her. It took a lot of effort before I barely made something I was satisfied with. At noon, I specifically asked Vanessa to lunch. Carrying the bento I made for her, I went up to the top floor of the company. I took the CEO's exclusive elevator. Vanessa authorized it. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I saw Ethan carrying a thermos container coming out of the employee elevator. As a subordinate, I politely greeted him, "Manager Ito," but Ethan ignored me. I shrugged helplessly. His face still had a sickly pallor. He knocked on the CEO's office door. We entered one after the other. Vanessa was working. When she saw Ethan, there wasn't a ripple of emotion in her eyes. But when she saw me, the corners of her mouth curved softly. "You're here. Sit down first." That sentence was for me. However, seeing the pallor on Ethan's face, her tone softened slightly. "Why didn't you recover fully before coming back to work? You're a picky eater. You're used to my cooking. I was afraid you wouldn't be used to the food from the company chef." I suddenly understood. So, the thing more important than his health was cooking for Vanessa. But I looked at the meal I made for Vanessa for the first time. What should I do now? But before I could worry, Vanessa made the choice first. "Fine, put it down and go eat." A bitter smile involuntarily appeared on his face. "Remember to eat it." His body hadn't recovered yet. Every now and then he clutched his stomach, a look of pain crossing his face. It really must have been hard for him, dragging a sick body out of the hospital in a rush just to make a meal. after Ethan left. You can't get used to the company chef's food, so Manager Ito makes you a bento every day? Manager Ito really cares about you. CEO Smith, I really envy you. Manager Ito's cooking must be better than mine. Vanessa clearly heard the jealousy in my tone. She wiped her hands clean with a wet wipe. Hearing my jealousy, her eyes smiled. Jealous? I turned my head to the side, my tone a bit stiff. No way. She didn't choose to open the meal Ethan made. Instead, she opened the thermos box I brought. When she saw the food inside, she visibly paused, because even the green vegetables had been stir-fried until they were pitch black. It looked completely unappetizing. For a rich heiress who grew up eating food made by Michelin star chefs, she had never eaten anything that lacked color, smell, and taste like this. Even Ethan's skills were acquired by pestering Vanessa's favorite chef for over a year, a manager of a listed company, a rich heir himself. Yet after work, for the girl he liked, he dove into the kitchen, facing sharp knives and greasy fumes, and the chef's scolding. Nothing could stop his desire to cook for the woman he loved. But Vanessa picked up the food I made for her without changing her expression. Ethan's food was set aside, she didn't even glance at it. Instead, she said to me, "For a first time, you did really well." I put my hands on my knees, looking calm but actually expectant. "Taste it then." She picked up a piece of spare rib that smelled sour. The moment it entered her mouth, her face stiffened slightly, but then she swallowed the rib without flinching. Then she picked up the water on the table and took a sip. She said, "Tastes pretty good." I pointed to the steamed fish I made. "Try this." She picked up a piece of fish with her chopsticks. The next second, I saw her swallow it quickly. She closed her eyes briefly. Another big gulp of water. She evaluated, "Very delicious." I showed a rare smile. "This is my first time cooking. I haven't even eaten it myself. I just wanted you to be the first person to taste my cooking." I picked up chopsticks, eager to try. "I'll taste it too." But she stopped me. "Didn't we agree you made this for me? So this is all mine." I hesitated. "Then what do I eat?" She pointed to Ethan's meal, abandoned in the corner. "You eat what Ethan made. His cooking is decent. As for yours, since you said it's for me, only I can eat it." She pulled all the food I made in front of her, not giving me a single bite. I had no choice but to begrudgingly eat the food Ethan made. Honestly, it tasted really good. When we finished dining, the food I made was actually completely finished by Vanessa. I was pleasantly surprised. "You ate it all?" "Because my boyfriend made it, so I liked it very much." Vanessa's eyes were doting. I felt secretly thrilled, and her praise gave me huge motivation. So I decided, then from now on, I'll bring you a love bento every day for work. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something. I gently held her hand. "Cooking for the person I like makes me so happy. You're not allowed to say anything about it being too hard for me. Cooking for you makes me feel blessed, not tired at all." Vanessa had to swallow her words. However, I suddenly remembered, since when did Vanessa have a habit of drinking water while eating? And it was almost a mouthful of food, then a big gulp of water. That's not a very good habit. Why didn't I recall her having this habit when we ate together before? Ethan is my direct superior. So after lunch, I knocked on Ethan's office door. He answered from inside, allowing me to enter. Seeing me come in, he was expressionless. I placed the thermos box on Ethan's desk. "Thanks for the hospitality, Manager Ito. I didn't expect your cooking to be this good. No wonder you rushed out of the hospital before you were even cured. If I were in your shoes, having tasted your cooking, I'd be thinking about it every day too." He heard the implication in my words. He frowned. "What do you mean? I mean, were you just that impatient to win CEO Smith's favor? Cooking while sick? Did you want to move her? Make her pity you?" "Ha!" I showed a mocking expression. He said, "You're overthinking it. I just care about her health. I think you should worry about your own health first. Also, compared to your cooking, she obviously prefers what I made her. You have no idea, the bento you made was shoved to the side. She didn't even look at it. But mine, she ate every bite. I only helped you finish yours because I pitied you." My gloating face was fully exposed to him. Ethan's hands clenched into fists, his face full of anger and humiliation. I ignored it and walked out with a swagger. My leather shoes tapped a cheerful rhythm on the floor. Even though I warned him not to cook for Vanessa anymore, he still made it every day and sent it to the CEO's office. What could I do? I could only begrudgingly help him finish it all. After all, wasting food is shameful. I had to admit, Ethan was a very capable leader. But so what? During the department meeting, we were discussing recent tasks. There was an extremely important project, negotiating a contract renewal with a major partner. This kind of thing should naturally be led by the manager. But Vanessa called my name in the meeting. Justin G., you will lead the renewal contract with Bartlett Inc. As soon as she said this, gasps filled the conference room. Ethan's face turned ugly. Bartlett is a major client for our company. Is it appropriate to hand this to an employee who's been here for just over a year? What's inappropriate about it? New employees need chances to prove themselves, Vanessa said, toying with her fountain pen. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Or are you afraid a subordinate will perform better than you, the leader? With that accusation hanging over him, Ethan naturally couldn't object further. However, giving it to a new employee does have risks, so you will assist Justin in completing this. A department manager having to assist a new employee. This was undoubtedly a slap in Ethan's face. Ethan looked like he'd been publicly slapped. It was utterly humiliating. When the meeting ended, other colleagues patted Ethan on the shoulder to comfort him. Only I walked up to Ethan with a faint smile. I'll have to trouble manager Ito to assist me with the project. Ethan gritted his teeth. Don't get cocky. Naturally, the company was buzzing with gossip about this. I hadn't even stepped into the break room when I heard colleagues talking. Justin is such a male fox spirit. An ingrate. Think about how good manager Ito was to him at the start. He groomed him, defended him, valued him so much. And look at now. Not only is he ungrateful, he's trying to usurp manager Ito's power. Manager Ito worked so hard to land Bartlett back then, and now someone else is reaping the benefits. He's stealing more than just manager Ito's power. He's stealing the woman manager Ito loves. Who in the company doesn't know manager Ito and CEO Smith grew up together? He's loved her for years. He studied hard to get into the same university, didn't join his own family's company after graduation, and instead followed CEO Smith to the branch office, starting from the bottom and working his way up, suffering all kinds of hardships. They were about to have their happy ending, but Justin cut in line. Based on my years of reading romance novels, this is a classic chase husband crematorium plot. Just wait, CEO Smith will regret this eventually. But when that happens, that male homewrecker Justin probably won't have a good ending. The colleagues' tone couldn't hide their schadenfreude and anticipation. The day CEO Smith realizes the person she loves is manager Ito, the first person to deal with Justin will be CEO Smith herself. I listened, curling my lips into a cold smile. Then I pushed the door open. They instinctively screamed and clutched their chests, looking terrified. When they reacted, their faces were full of awkwardness. They asked carefully, "Did you hear what we just said?" I looked at them indifferently. Take a guess. They stopped talking, looking awkward and scared. They grabbed their hot coffee and fled. But because they weren't paying attention, one ran straight into the doorframe. The person behind her, carrying scalding hot coffee, bumped into her waist, spilling the coffee all over both of them. They howled in pain. It was pathetic. Soon, I started the renewal process. Of course, there wasn't much to prepare. After scheduling a time with the project lead from the other side, I called Ethan along. Manager Ito, I'm really sorry. I know you're busy as a manager, but CEO Smith asked you to assist me, so I have to trouble you to tag along. Ethan had no room to refuse. Then I threw the documents at him. I have more important things to do. I need to think about how to land this contract. So, carrying the heavy stuff will have to be your job, Manager Ito. Ethan looked at me with gloomy eyes, but eventually picked up the heavy stack of files. I walked in front, empty-handed except for a briefcase. Ethan followed behind me holding a stack of documents. It looked like I was the boss and he was the subordinate. Colleagues saw this and pretended not to see. looking anywhere but at him. Ethan couldn't hold his head up. I walked ahead with my head held high. The moment the other party's representative came out, he looked at me, then at Ethan following behind me. He assumed I was the professional one, not Ethan. He became even more cautious about bringing up the price hike. "Mr. G, the economy isn't great, but costs keep rising. If we don't increase the price, we won't have any profit margin." I slammed my hand heavily on the table, startling the guy. "Price hike? Your company is funny. Do you know who we are? We are the Smith Group. Do you know how many companies are lining up to work with us? And you have the nerve to ask for a raise. This demand is just ugly." The representative's face turned black immediately. Beside me, Ethan opened his mouth to speak, but ultimately stayed silent. I doubled down. "The Smith Group working with you is us doing you a favor. Don't be ungrateful. I'm putting it out there. Forget a price hike. If you don't lower the original price by 20%, we won't even consider working with you." The representative's face went from red to green, then green to black. He had probably never seen someone like me before. Veins popped on his forehead. "If this is the attitude the Smith Group has towards our cooperation, then I have nothing more to say. Please leave." "What do you mean? Trying to kick us out? Do you know who we are? Offend the Smith family, and believe it or not, we'll blacklist you in the industry." I was arrogant, pointing my finger at his nose. The representative couldn't take it anymore. Finally, he called security. I was so angry I kicked the coffee table hard. The loud crash scared everyone. "Do you know who our CEO is? You dare kick us out? You're going against CEO Smith. Get ready for bankruptcy. I'd like to see if she has that kind of power." In the end, Ethan and I were chased out by security like mad dogs. From the office to the gate of Bartlett Inc. I was cursing the whole way. Caused quite a scene. "Who are they? Heard they're from the Smith Group. That's too arrogant. Even if the Smith Group is powerful, they should have basic humility. Being from Smith Group doesn't make you God. Red flag. Who would dare work with the Smith Group in the future? Acting like local tyrants." Undoubtedly, the renewal fell through. It also stirred up controversy in the industry. Ethan and I were called into the CEO's office. Greeting us was a cup, smashed directly in front of Ethan. The shards flew up, slicing across Ethan's ankle. "Look at what you did." The word "you" was used very cleverly. The shard made intimate contact with skin. Skin broke, and beads of blood oozed out drop by drop, leaving a stinging trail of bright red. Ethan hissed in pain. Luckily, I was standing further away. I was unscathed. The next second, I lowered my head, my eyes instantly reddening, my voice turning husky. I looked so guilty. I held back my emotions, voice low. "I'm sorry, CEO Smith. It's all my fault. It has nothing to do with Manager Ito. It's my lack of experience. I only thought about doing a good job and signing the contract at the lowest price. I wanted everyone in the company to know I'm capable, that I deserve you. But I messed everything up and caused such a huge loss to the company." As I spoke, my voice choked up uncontrollably. My hands clenched tight into fists, as if I were struggling to suppress my emotions. "Fire me or punish me. I accept it. It's all my fault. Please don't blame Manager Ito. He has experience. You specifically asked him to help me. Even though he stood by and watched during the negotiation, I was the main person in charge, so I should bear all the consequences." Vanessa walked up to me helplessly. She coaxed me softly, reaching out to pat my back. "Why are you sad? I'm not blaming you. This has nothing to do with you." Ethan looked at her in disbelief. Unlike the gentleness she showed me, when Vanessa looked at Ethan, her face was icy. "Ethan, is the company's interest just a tool for your jealousy?" Ethan clenched his fists tight. "What do you mean? Justin is just a new employee with no experience. What does he know about this kind of project negotiation? I asked you to assist him, not to set him up. Did you want to see him embarrass himself and cause trouble that badly?" This sentence undoubtedly questioned Ethan's character. If you hadn't left him to dry, wanting the whole company to laugh at him, wanting me to be disappointed in him, You and I both know there's no way this contract wouldn't have been signed. You are the department manager. If you can't even handle a simple renewal contract, then I really have to question your ability." Ethan bit his lip until it was white. You didn't see his attitude during the negotiation. Arrogant. Rude. He only dared to act like that because he's your boyfriend. Vanessa, is the Justin you like really as innocent and fragile as he acts in front of you? Standing behind Vanessa, eyes slightly red, I whispered, "Manager Ito, I've never handled such a big project. I have no experience. If I did something wrong, you were right there beside me. Why didn't you say a word or remind me?" That one sentence made Ethan freeze. I muttered to myself, otherwise, I wouldn't have thought that suppressing them with aggression was the way to avoid getting ripped off. Vanessa patted my shoulder. "Justin is right. Why didn't you remind him when you were right there? Dare you say you didn't have ulterior motives?" She said with disgust. "Just don't bring your personal agenda into work." Ethan looked like he was about to collapse, practically wanting to bury himself in the floor from the humiliation. Tears were swirling in his eyes, but he stubbornly refused to let them fall. But his eyes were red. Yet Vanessa showed no softness. Instead, she said with disappointment, "How did you become like this? I thought you were someone who kept public and private matters separate. No matter how much you dislike Justin, you shouldn't have sabotaged him like this." Ethan stared at Vanessa with red, swollen eyes. "You say I sabotaged him, didn't you? How is Justin supposed to survive in this company now?" She turned her head away, not looking at Ethan's broken expression. "Since you messed it up, you fixed the Bartlett contract. Apologize, make amends, whatever. If you don't fix it, don't bother coming back." Ethan's voice was hoarse, enduring the pain. "Have you thought about how my colleagues will see me if you punish me by making me go back to Bartlett to re-sign? Will they think I was sabotaging it from the shadows since the contract failed? How can I stand tall in this company? Didn't you bring this on yourself?" Vanessa replied ruthlessly, "If you don't accept it, you can leave the company. You'll regret this later." Ethan gave me one last hateful look, covered his face, and ran out. Vanessa's double standards were crystal clear. If the contract had succeeded, Vanessa would have thought it was all my credit since I was the project lead. But since it failed, Vanessa only felt it was Ethan's responsibility. He was the experienced senior, and I was just a subordinate with no experience. What did the failure have to do with me? I thought Ethan would have some backbone. Vanessa humiliated him like that and pushed all the responsibility onto him. After suffering so much injustice, since she told him not to come back, he shouldn't have come back. But he chose to grovel and beg the partner for forgiveness. At first, knowing it was a Smith Group employee, they wouldn't let Ethan in. He couldn't even see the person in charge. In the end, he stood at the company gate for 3 days. In the sweltering summer heat, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., he finally caught the manager. Unfortunately, he was met with ridicule. "The Smith Group? A small company like ours can't climb that high. You should look elsewhere." Ethan was resilient. He waited for a chance outside the company every day in the heat that distorted the air. In the end, he got heat stroke. An ambulance took him to the hospital. When his family found out, they were heartbroken and angry, because the Ito family company also worked with Bartlett. In the end, they chose to give profits to Bartlett, on the condition that they're signed with Smith Group. Working with Smith Group wasn't a loss for Bartlett. Plus the concessions from the Ito family, double the benefit. Bartlett naturally accepted happily. Ethan's parents tried earnestly to persuade their son to come back and help with the family business. Unfortunately, Ethan refused. After all, the person he loved was at Smith Group, whether in front of outsiders or in private. Vanessa never slighted me because of my ordinary background. Instead, she would solemnly introduce me to all her friends. Everyone knew she was madly in love with me. I came from an ordinary family, and she was a wealthy heir. Me and her? It looked like the classic trope, the superior one bowing down for love. This time, a friend of hers who lived abroad came back. Naturally, there was a welcome party. When introducing me to that friend, Vanessa put her arm around my waist possessively. "My boyfriend, your future brother-in-law. That friend, Jason, who initially had a slacker vibe, immediately straightened up. Hello, big bro. I'm Jason. Van is so lucky you look like a movie star. He then glanced with pity at Ethan, who was looking down, hiding his emotions. I thought you and Ethan would end up together. After all, since you were kids, he loved following you around the most. And every time we played games, he favored you. You could tell since childhood he liked you the best. Someone nudged him with an elbow to remind him. He realized his mistake and rubbed the back of his head. Look at me, bro. Childhood crushes don't count, it's like playing house.
I'm spouting nonsense.
I'll punish myself with a drink. I raised my glass to return the toast, but Vanessa pried my fingers open one by one and took the glass from my hand. She downed it in one go. Your brother-in-law can't drink. I'll drink for him. TSK, TSK, TSK. I never thought I'd see the day Van acted like this. Cold to guys since she was little. Collecting love letters since elementary school until her hands were full. But she never liked a single one. Others had their puppy love in high school and college, but she never dated once. I almost thought she didn't like guys. Turns out it wasn't that she didn't like them, just that the right one hadn't appeared. After he said that, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Ethan. His face was bitter. And Vanessa's friend Chloe was silently patting his shoulder to comfort him. Amidst the drinking and toasting, I merely rubbed my arm. And Vanessa noticed my discomfort immediately. She told someone to turn up the AC temperature, and had someone bring a jacket to drape over me. Later, after dinner, they were still chatting enthusiastically. Vanessa chatted with them on and off. I felt a bit bloated from sitting. I whispered to Vanessa, I'm going out for a bit to walk off the food. She started to get up to go with me. I stopped her. I'm not a kid. I'll just walk around outside and come back. I straightened my back and tried not to disturb them as I left. I took a deep breath. The air outside was fresher. I walked slowly in a circle. When I planned to go back, I was blocked by Chloe. I went left, she went right. I went right, she went left. Her figure carried a gangster-like swagger as she blocked me. I looked down at her helplessly. What do you want? These rich heirs were all good-looking. Chloe was no exception, she had a striking face. But the way she looked at me was like I was some cheap toy, unworthy of her high-class eyes. She looked slouchy, her voice suppressing a deliberate flirtatiousness. Isn't it obvious? I'm interested in you. Not wanting to show weakness, I looked her in the eye. So? Her voice was coaxing. So, how about spending a night with me? Just one night and I'll give you $100,000. Good deal, right? With your current salary, how many years would it take to earn 100 grand? But you just need to sleep with me for one night, and it's easy money. Her tone carried a triumphant certainty. Certain that a man like me, with no family background, would compromise for this windfall. And it was true. For an ordinary person like me, relying on a monthly salary of a few thousand, saving 100 grand would take years of not eating or drinking. Sleep with her once, get 100 grand overnight. I knew my position clearly. I wasn't a good person. Making 100 grand in one night was such a bargain. Greed leaked from my eyes. She saw the hesitation in my eyes. She shoved a room card into my hand. Tomorrow night, 8:30. I'll be waiting in the hotel room. No need to answer now, you have a day to think about it. I asked eagerly, and the money? My voice cracked with excitement. She sneered. She pulled the phone out of my pocket. Then, her manicured hand grasped mine, thumb caressing my palm. It was naked seduction. She looked satisfied as a blush crept up to my ears. Then she chuckled softly. She took my hand and pressed my finger to the screen. Added my contact info. 50,000 transfer received. A satisfied smile appeared on my face. But I still hesitated. Dropping a "I'll think about it." I left, my footsteps a bit unsteady and excited. What I didn't know was, after I left, from a corner no one noticed, Ethan walked out of the shadows. His face held worry and hesitation, but hidden beneath was joy. Tomorrow night, do you really plan to? Chloe patted him on the head intimately. What are you thinking? If he loves money this much, as long as the money is doubled, Presumably the person doesn't have to be me. Even a female thug would do. Ethan still hesitated. Chloe comforted him. Don't pity this kind of person. Someone from his background only loves money, he doesn't truly love Vanessa. We're just helping Vanessa see his true colors. Ethan's slightly furrowed brows slowly relaxed. Usually at work, my workload was pretty heavy. But today it was exceptionally light. I was idle enough to zone out. As soon as 6 o'clock hit, I couldn't wait to clock out. I ate dinner outside, changed into a clean, crisp white shirt and slim-fit dress pants. The person in the mirror had eyes that looked misty. Combined with a tall, thin frame, I looked clean and triggered a desire to protect. At 8 sharp, I set off. When I arrived at the hotel, I checked my phone and went upstairs. Found the room number on the card. But I rang the doorbell. I didn't swipe the card to enter. The person who opened the door was Chloe. When she saw me all dressed up, a subtle, mocking smile appeared on her face, like everything was under her control. You came. I lowered my head and stammered. I wanted to tell you. She stepped back. A woman with dyed yellow hair walked out from behind her. The blonde looked me up and down. Inch by inch, her eyes landed on my collarbone, exposed by 2 unbuttoned buttons, like a venomous snake flicking its tongue. She wiped her mouth. I really just need to sleep with him, and Miss Chloe gives me $5,000? I looked up in panic. Chloe, what is this? It means I changed my mind. But 500,000, how about you sleep with this sister for a night? Sleeping is sleeping, right? Don't act like a prude when you're already a whore. Besides, it's 500,000. You probably haven't seen that much money in your life. Chloe leaned against the door, arms crossed, looking relaxed. I won't do it. I retreated quickly while keeping an eye on my surroundings. I came here to tell you clearly that I'm not the kind of man who does anything for money. I have my limits. I just feel bad for Vanessa. She treats you like a sister, and you betray her like this. I spoke righteously. Chloe smiled, but it gave off a dangerous vibe. Refusing isn't up to you anymore. She signaled the blonde. But the next second, I flashed a cunning smile and raised an eyebrow at her. Then instantly, I put on a performance. Red eyes, broken voice. Vanessa, trying to trick me? How could Vanessa be here? Just be a good boy and sleep with Blondie. But if you want to see Vanessa, you can see her tomorrow, when she catches you in bed with another woman. Chloe's tone was nasty. But just as the blonde was about to touch me, a woman with a face cold as ice grabbed the blonde's hand. The blonde let out a blood-curdling scream. Chloe's smile froze. She stood rooted to the spot. When I told you about this, I believed she was your friend and wouldn't be that kind of person, that she just wanted to test me for your sake. But I didn't expect she would actually do this. I know I come from a regular background, but why does she have to insult me with money? I can't believe what would have happened if I hadn't told you about this. Chloe's mask of composure shattered completely. Don't listen to him. He's just a gold digger. He was clearly tempted. He took my money. Vanessa's eyes brewed a monstrous rage, but the angrier she got, the calmer she became. You mean this 50,000? Chloe realized then that maybe, from start to finish, she had been played. Vanessa stepped closer to Chloe. Chloe swallowed hard. Van, our friendship for so many years. But the next second, a slap landed on her face. You dare bring up friendship? Vanessa looked like a demon from hell. Chloe looked tall, but she was actually useless in a fight. She had no power to resist. Her face swelled up until you couldn't see her usual striking looks. It was ugly. Soon, blood spilled from the corner of Chloe's mouth. The hallway echoed with Chloe's pig-like squeals. Her screams filled the empty space. Just when it felt like Vanessa was about to lose control, the door to the room next to Chloe's opened. Ethan ran out. Seeing the scene, his face was full of shock. Just as Vanessa went to hit Chloe again, he blocked Chloe. The bloodlust in Vanessa's eyes hadn't faded. Her voice was hoarse. Move. Ethan shook his head frantically. I won't. Look clearly. She's your childhood friend. Are you really going to beat your friend to death for a man you've only known for a year? Vanessa was unmoved. Someone like this deserves to die. From the side, I fanned the flames with a trembling voice. I don't understand. I have no grudge against Chloe. Why does she want to ruin me? Vanessa listened, then sneered at Ethan. You were involved in this too, weren't you? Ethan wanted to deny it, but the next second, Vanessa slapped him hard. Ethan's handsome face swelled up instantly. If anything had happened to Justin, neither you nor Chloe would live comfortably in this world. Tears welled in Ethan's eyes. The slap stunned him. He said, feeling incredibly wronged, I just wanted to stop Chloe from doing something wrong. But I whispered quietly, but why didn't you come out to stop them when I yelled, help, at the beginning? You only came out when Chloe got in trouble. Mr. Ito, I've never had a grudge against you. Why do you want to destroy me? After I finished speaking, Ethan looked at the disappointed expression on Vanessa's face. Panic seized his heart. He shook his head frantically, tears flowing freely. I really didn't mean to harm him. But Vanessa suddenly calmed down. The strength left her fists, her fingers were stained with Chloe's blood. Chloe has no grudge against Justin. You're the one who's always targeting him, causing him trouble. Dare you say she didn't try to ruin him because of you? Yet you watched and did nothing. How did you become so cold-blooded and vicious? She seemed to see right through him. Ethan's eyes darted away involuntarily. Ethan, you weren't like this before. I feel like I don't know you anymore. Vanessa's tone of disappointment. Even I could hear it. And I heard that, more than venting anger for me, Vanessa was disappointed in Ethan's actions. To Ethan, this sentence hurt more than Vanessa hitting him. In front of Ethan, she took my hand, unable to hide the disappointment and exhaustion on her face. Finally, saying nothing else, she left. After that, Chloe's family business suffered attacks from the Smith Group. With the Smith Group's suppression, the Chen family, already facing impact from online businesses and at a critical transition point, declined. No matter how Ethan begged, he couldn't stop Vanessa's thunderous methods. Ethan wore a mask to work for over a week. On Valentine's Day, Ethan was in an exceptionally bad mood. Deputy Manager Sharon was someone he promoted personally. Their relationship was like friends. Sensing Ethan's bad mood, Sharon rolled her eyes and handed a huge pile of documents to me. Ethan happened to pass by me right then. Sharon said, process these files for me by the end of today. That many files, even if I stayed all night, I might not finish. And everyone knew perfectly well that giant stack wasn't my job. Ethan knew it, but as the leader, he turned a blind eye. Just like a year ago, I graduated from college and was recruited by him through campus recruitment. I didn't understand it back then. When I first interned at the company, he was clearly nice to me. He taught me a lot, and his methods of handling company affairs were swift and effective. Back then, I thought he was so excellent, an independent, autonomous man. Not only did he guide me in work, but he also cared about me in life. He really helped me a lot. I could tell he appreciated me too and was satisfied with my work. But everything changed so suddenly. Just because Vanessa came to our department and gave me an extra glance, even if that glance was a fleeting moment of awe, and confusingly asked for the names of everyone in the department. But after that one time, Ethan suddenly turned cold toward me, to the point where he treated me differently from other employees. If other employees made insignificant mistakes, nothing happened, they would even get comforted. But if the person making the mistake was me, he wouldn't hesitate to scold me in front of everyone. I even vaguely felt he was leading other colleagues in the department to isolate me. Colleagues close to him naturally followed his attitude toward me, making things difficult for me at every turn, even giving me work that wasn't mine. Ethan knew all of this, but he tacitly approved it. At that time, I really didn't understand why I was being targeted, why I had to live so carefully, jumping at shadows, why everyone isolated me and disliked me. Later, I realized I was facing workplace bullying, and the fuse was just a woman. I never thought an independent, capable man, just because of a woman, would choose to isolate and target me. Truly ridiculous and laughable. Moreover, I hadn't even done anything. Just because Vanessa fell in love with me at first sight and chose to pursue me. They pointed all their spears at me. I clearly never responded to Vanessa's pursuit. I did nothing. I even avoided her. But they still believed I was the one in the wrong. Vanessa's active pursuit. In their eyes was me seducing Vanessa. Me betraying Ethan's mentorship. Ethan was kind to me, yet I stole the woman he loved. Later, I figured it out. It was because I was too weak back then. Clearly, Vanessa liked me, but they didn't dare target Vanessa. So they took their anger out on me. Because people pick the soft persimmons to squeeze. Slowly, I understood. Ethan studied desperately to go to the same university as Vanessa. For Vanessa, a rich young master who never suffered hardships gave up going to his own family's company, instead following Vanessa to the branch office to start as a regular employee, climbing step by step to the position of headquarters department manager. Naturally, he would dislike me because of Vanessa. Sadly, nothing he did was for himself. After all, the woman was his everything. During the time Vanessa pursued me, Ethan watched it all, and my workload increased. He even personally went to my roommate to ask about my lifestyle in college. Did I often stay out all night? Did many girls chase me? How many girls had I dated? It was truly laughable. His standard for judging a guy's character was simply how many girlfriends he'd had and if he stayed out at night. I really didn't know if he was insulting me or insulting himself. Now, facing Sharon's difficulty, I didn't resist. I was just a small employee. How could I fight against my leader? I obediently took the files. My hands sank under the weight. Very substantial. Feeling this weight, not only was I not worried, I felt very satisfied. 1 second before getting off work, I finished my own tasks. Sharon mocked me. Haven't even started? Planning to live at the company tonight? Don't rush. I blinked at her, then took out my phone and found Vanessa's chat. I held the voice message button. My tone as innocent as possible. Vanessa, I'm sorry. I might have to flake on our Valentine's date today. I have a lot of work unfinished. I can't go out with you. Sharon waited, feeling stifled, for me to finish the call with Vanessa, seeing me end with a sigh of feigned strength. Sharon's face changed drastically. Are you sick? You tell CEO Smith about this kind of thing? Are you a tattletale? Besides, I'm your boss. You do what I say. If you don't do it, you can get out. I looked at Sharon innocently. You really misunderstood me. I was just explaining to my girlfriend that I can't date her because of work. But if I caused a misunderstanding, I apologize. I'm sorry. My attitude was very sincere. Then, I kindly reminded her, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I haven't hung up yet. Implied meaning. Vanessa heard everything she just said to me. Sharon felt the sky falling. But seeing the phone in my hand, afraid I hadn't hung up yet, she wanted to speak but didn't dare. She was suffocating. I kindly reminded her again, you can speak freely now. I hung up. She didn't dare speak anymore. Her face was a mix of panic and hatred as she looked at me. Sharon finally stomped her foot in exasperation and ran into Ethan's office. I didn't know what the two were discussing. I kept looking at the time on my phone. A few minutes later, they came out together. Ethan spoke. Leave the work for tomorrow. Go on your date with CEO Smith. Coming from his mouth, it sounded like he had razor blades in his mouth. Every word was like his tongue rolling over a blade. I didn't agree, remaining in my seat. Better not. Work is more important. I straightened my collar, feigning strength. I can distinguish between public and private matters. Just then, footsteps came from behind. I pretended not to hear. Besides, these files must be important. Otherwise, Manager Sharon wouldn't say I have to finish them before tomorrow morning. Right, Manager Ito? You were there too. Ethan opened his mouth, but when he saw the person behind me, his eyelashes trembled. I didn't know. What position is busier than me, the CEO? Vanessa's low, magnetic voice came from behind me. I stood up in surprise. Why are you here? Her beautiful face looked helpless. My boyfriend has to work overtime. How am I supposed to spend Valentine's Day alone? She put her hand on my shoulder, gently pressing me back into my seat. One hand on the desk, her tall figure enveloped me. Here, let me see what work it is. I'll process it with you. I rubbed my nose. There are quite a few files. Actually, if it were just a few, I could finish and go on the date with you. Vanessa lazily flipped through the files. The more she looked, the colder the air around her became. Sharon shrank behind Ethan. But Vanessa said nothing. She just found a chair and moved it next to me. I'll work on them with you. Snap. The pen in Ethan's hand broke. He spoke with difficulty. These files can be processed tomorrow. Vanessa tapped her fingers on the desk rhythmically, but it felt like she was hammering on someone's heart. She refused without turning her head. No need. Didn't you say the files were important and needed to be processed ASAP? Didn't you tacitly agree they needed to be submitted tomorrow morning? Ethan forced out a smile. You guys, go on your date. Leave the files to me. I rolled my eyes and said with difficulty, that's not good, is it? But Vanessa tapped me lightly on the head. Your leader is sympathizing with his subordinate. It shows he doesn't abuse power for private reasons. How can you refuse his kindness? She emphasized abuse power for private reasons. It almost made Ethan lose his composure. His eyes were red. Vanessa took my hand, interlocking her fingers with mine. Then I'll trouble you, Manager Ito. Put the processed files on my desk before work tomorrow morning. Sharon couldn't hold back. That many files. Finishing them would take all night, wouldn't it? Her voice was loud. Vanessa heard it, but she pretended not to. She smiled and asked, what did you say just now? I didn't hear clearly. Sharon stammered. Ethan pulled her lightly and said, nothing. I will definitely put the finished files on your desk tomorrow morning. I sighed. I can finish my own work. CEO Smith, you can let Manager Ito help me once, but you can't let him help me a second or third time. How could that happen? Your Manager Ito is so nice. Next time something like this happens, he'll definitely help you again. Besides, even if Manager Ito doesn't help you, you can ask your girlfriend. Right, Manager Ito? Vanessa locked eyes with Ethan. Anyone could hear the subtext. If he makes things difficult for you again, come find me. Ethan looked bitter but could only answer, yes. When Vanessa led me to the door, Sharon let out a breath and even had the mood to comfort Ethan. But Vanessa stopped suddenly. Remembering something, she said to Sharon, by the way, Sharon. Sharon shuddered, like she was hoping in her heart Vanessa wasn't calling her. Her eyes holding expectation. Vanessa helped me, so naturally I had to repay her. I enthusiastically reminded her, CEO Smith, her name is Sharon. She's our deputy manager. I saw Sharon gulp nervously. Vanessa rubbed her chin. Sharon, right? Pack your things. Don't come in tomorrow. Sharon forgot her fear and looked agitated. Why? Vanessa chuckled lightly. No reason. Just that I'm your boss. You do what I say, right? Those were the exact bossy words Sharon had said to me. Now Vanessa returned them to her. Her face turned gray. Ethan opened his mouth to speak for her. But Vanessa said coldly, if you can't bear to part with her, you can leave with her. I won't stop you. In the end, Ethan stayed silent and said nothing. For our Valentine's date, we went to a high-end Western restaurant. Vanessa, like a magician, gave me an expensive watch and cufflinks, and sent a pricey Valentine's gift. Finally, she booked a private screening at the cinema and watched a Valentine's release romance movie with me. Predictably, it was a terrible movie, but the whole arrangement maxed out the emotional value. We were like many other young couples, walking hand in hand, walking on the lively street. There was a quiet beauty to it. Around 11 o'clock, she drove me home. The car stopped downstairs. She unbuckled her seatbelt first. When I tried to unbuckle mine, she leaned over. Her bright, beautiful face was right in front of me. Her pretty eyes met mine, filled with joy and affection. The atmosphere suddenly became ambiguous. Just as her lips slowly were about to reach mine, I blinked nervously. Then the next second, I actively and quickly pecked her on the cheek, leaving behind a slightly stunned Vanessa covering her face. What she didn't know was, the moment I got out of the car and turned around, the shyness and smile vanished from my face instantly. I went upstairs with a cold face, rushed home without stopping, hugged the toilet and threw up. After throwing up, I wiped my lips over and over at the sink, until my lips were red and swollen, feeling like I was about to rub them raw. Only then did I stop. That night, when preparing the bento for Vanessa for the next day, while stir-frying, I accidentally added a few extra spoons of salt to every dish, or a few extra spoons of sugar. Who asked me to zone out while cooking, thinking about the scene where I actively kissed Vanessa. Presumably, when Vanessa eats these, she won't blame me, right? When I arrived at the company the next day with slightly swollen lips, people kept sneaking glances at my mouth. I happened to lock eyes with Ethan. He looked unusually distracted. Sporting massive dark circles, his hand lost strength. He didn't even notice spilling a cup of hot coffee on himself. It was a subordinate who discovered it and screamed to remind him. He went silently to the restroom to clean the stain. When he came back from the restroom, it wasn't just dark circles anymore. His eyelids were puffy, and his eyeballs were covered in bright red veins, like he had been crying. And all day long, there was a gaze that was particularly burning. From some corner, looking like it wanted to pierce through my lips. Someone wouldn't think my mouth was swollen from kissing, right? If so, that's truly a beautiful misunderstanding. A misunderstanding that puts me in a beautiful mood. The next day, however, he completely changed from his previous depression. He looked like he was hiding a huge surprise that only he knew about. When he passed by me, he said in a very soft voice only I could hear, "Don't get cocky. Soon Vanessa will see your true colors." I said calmly, "Oh, I'm waiting." I didn't know why. I felt uneasy all day, like something bad was about to happen. My intuition was always accurate. Clocking out and walking out the company gate, I saw 3 figures that made my blood run cold instantly. In front of a crowd of glamorous white-collar workers, they were dressed very plainly, plain to the point of being shabby, looking around curiously like they had never been to a place like this. Obviously a poor family. When they saw me, their eyes were filled with anger and resentment. Many bad memories flooded my heart. My heart went ice cold. The next day, Vanessa said Ethan invited the old friends to dinner, and specifically asked to bring partners. But when Vanessa took me to the agreed place, there were no so-called friends in the booth. Only Ethan. Vanessa frowned. "Didn't you say a gathering? Where are the others? What are you trying to do now?" The now was used subtly, inevitably hurting Ethan. He steadied himself and said, "Don't rush. The others might not come, but perhaps someone more important will, especially for Mr. G." I smiled, pretending to be calm. "Then I really want to know who this important person is." Ethan raised an eyebrow. However, their arrival might be a surprise for Mr. G, or perhaps a scare. Vanessa was impatient. "Stop playing games." She turned and held my hand actively, her tone gentle. "If it's someone you don't like, we don't have to see them." Before I could speak, Ethan immediately used reverse psychology. Is Mr. G running away because he did something guilty he doesn't want Vanessa to know about? Ethan blocked my path. If I left, it meant I was guilty, planting a seed of doubt in Vanessa's heart. So I could only actively say to Vanessa, maybe it's an old friend. No harm in meeting. I pulled Vanessa to sit down. Ethan gave me a meaningful look. Before we could even get comfortable, someone barged directly into the booth. When I saw those 3 familiar faces enter, I stood up from the chair in a reaction like PTSD. The chair scraped the floor, making a harsh screeching sound. "Why are you here?" My voice was a bit out of control. My expression nearly cracked. Ethan was very satisfied to see my reaction. He tapped the table rhythmically. "Mr. G, why do I feel like instead of being happy to see your relatives, you're afraid of their appearance? What are you afraid of?" My face was pale. Vanessa looked at the strange me, then at my plainly dressed parents and brother. Just then, my dad spoke. He had a simple, honest face, all dried up, wrinkles bunched together, looking very aged. "Justin, since he was little, he was very disobedient, very selfish. If things didn't go his way at home, he would go crazy and smash the whole house to pieces." Ethan's smile widened. "Next, it was my mom. And he actually has a fiancée back home. The family is poor and couldn't afford his tuition. He got engaged to a rich woman. But as soon as he got into a top university, he dumped her. And before dumping her, he swindled most of her money. They acted in tacit agreement, one speaking after another, like they had rehearsed and memorized a script. Ethan listened leisurely to my parents' accusations against me while observing Vanessa's expression. Seeing Vanessa frowning, seeing Justin lowering his head, visible trembling, probably scared. Ethan thought, you reap what you sow. Soon it was my brother's turn to expose my evil deeds. My parents are farmers. They work hard to earn a little money. But my brother said college costs a lot, city living is expensive. He asked my parents for $50,000 a semester. We farm, we only make $30,000 a year. Where would we get that kind of money for him? Parents didn't give it to him, so he beat and scolded them. Later, at night, he drugged us with pig tranquilizer. While we were unconscious, he stole all the money in the house and ran. That was my parents' life savings. My brother's expression and emotions were much richer. Very good at setting the mood. Tearful. We chased him to the school. He spent all the money on brand-name clothes and leather shoes. His classmates thought he was a rich kid. When we went to find him, he actually said we were servants hired by his family. We are his closest relatives. For 4 years of college, he only called mom and dad when he wanted money. What could mom and dad do? Afraid he'd starve and farming didn't pay, dad ran to construction sites to do hard labor. Wind, sun, rain, sleeping 5 hours a day. But as soon as the wages hit, he transferred them to brother. My brother, dragging his fat body, slowly lowered his head, his mood dropping. As for me, although I got into college, the family really had no money to support me. And I'm a boy, without a degree, I still have strength. But brother is different, he's the family's only hope. He has to go to college. Actually, we didn't come here for anything. It's just that he hasn't been home since college or work. Me and mom and dad miss him very much. My image of being selfish, greedy, heartless, and hypocritical was established through their description. Especially contrasted with their kind, simple family, my evil was magnified infinitely. I shook my head innocently, eyes holding back tears, voice low and husky as I begged Vanessa. I didn't. Vanessa, believe me. Ethan shook his head in apparent disappointment, radiating righteousness. Mr. G, surely your own parents and brother wouldn't frame you. Vanessa kept her eyes lowered, it was unclear what she was thinking. Just as Ethan was about to say something to Vanessa, my dad put a black plastic bag filled with stacks of $100 bills on the table. Looked like 10 or 20 grand. Then the next second, he pushed it in front of Ethan. Ethan was caught off guard. His heart suddenly pounded. But he thought of something and quickly said, Justin treated you like that. Why are you still worried he has no money in the big city? This must be your savings from years of hard work. But my dad looked at him strangely. Isn't this the money Mr. Ethan gave us? Ethan's hair stood on end, a shiver running through him. What kind of joke are you playing? Didn't Mr. Ethan teach us to say those things just now? This money is the payment Mr. Ethan gave us. Mr. Ethan, how could you forget? My dad said with his honest-looking face. Mr. Ethan, why do you hate my son so much? Do you know if the lies you made up reached other people's ears, what they would think? How could my son show his face? My dad burst into tears, wiping them with his sleeve. Clearly my son is the most obedient person. He listened since he was small, felt for his parents, helped with chores and took care of his brother. His grades were good, the house is full of his awards. High schools fought over him, gave him scholarships. And you said he stole family money for college? To lighten the burden on the family. I swear to heaven he didn't spend a dime of the family's money. It was all saved from his summer jobs. Slandering my son like this, aren't you afraid of getting struck by lightning? Ethan looked in disbelief at my parents, who seemed to have swapped masks for kind, loving ones. He didn't know why the people who were accusing their son just 2 days ago, wishing to tear him apart, had changed. Ethan collapsed completely. Why are you doing this? I only asked you to tell the truth. You told me Justin was selfish and hypocritical, that he stole your money before college. But my parents and brother insisted. Obviously, Mr. Ethan told us to say that. Besides, if you didn't want to bribe us to slander my son, why did you give us money for no reason? Bitten back by my parents. Most importantly, the witnesses and evidence were all there. Ethan was so angry he almost vomited blood. Only then did Ethan see me with my head down. My face wasn't scared instead. The corners of my mouth carried a smile. He seemed to understand something. It's you snakes and rats nesting together, secretly plotting against me. Isn't it? Tears swirled in my eyes, looking wronged and enduring. Manager Ito, why are you gaslighting me? You caused me trouble again and again. The Chloe thing last time, framing me this time. You target me at the company, and I kept enduring it. Where did I offend you? I apologize to you, okay? Please let me go. I lowered my victim stance very low, even bowing to beg him humbly. Then I chose an angle specifically to let him see the triumph on my face. Ethan was provoked until his eyes were red. He pointed at me. Vanessa, look, he's acting again. But when Vanessa looked over, she could only see my wronged profile. When he rushed at me, he was shoved hard to the ground by Vanessa. Enough! Severe pain shot through Ethan's body. But it didn't compare to the pain in his heart. I was pulled up by Vanessa. When I looked up, she only saw my heartbroken face. Ethan's voice even spawned despair. Vanessa, in your heart, have I become someone who makes trouble out of nothing? Vanessa pursed her red lips. Aren't you? Didn't you make things difficult for him at work? Didn't you give his parents money? Justin did nothing. Why do you insist on hurting him? Are you dissatisfied with me? Her tone was full of disappointment. Ethan's heart truly went cold. His eyes were filled with a gray aura. Am I dissatisfied with you? Or is it other feelings? Don't you know? Vanessa's jaw tightened. Silence for a while, then she finally said, From now on, don't appear in any public setting where Justin is present. Sentencing Ethan to death. The moment Vanessa turned us around to leave the booth, Ethan wept blood with every word. Vanessa, if you find out Justin's true face in the future, you will definitely regret this. I thought to myself, regret. Regret knowing that I was actually abused by my parents growing up, and they didn't even want me to go to high school? Or regret that right after I graduated high school and got into a top university, they didn't want me to go, instead using that as leverage to sell me to an old rich woman for a high price? And the so-called stealing family money was actually me taking back the money I worked multiple jobs continuously through the summer to earn, which they had snatched away. Maybe Ethan didn't necessarily want to frame me. The slanderous words from my parents weren't taught by Ethan, they told Ethan those things themselves. The problem was, he didn't want to explore the truth at all. He only wanted to hear what he wanted to hear. So he took it for granted that I was the selfish, hypocritical person my parents described. Finding people who hated me to testify. It's like someone accusing me of stealing and finding my nemesis as a witness. The nemesis naturally wouldn't scream he didn't steal. Instead, they'd say, I testify I saw him steal. This person has always been evil, a born bad seed. Ethan only felt he was innocent, a messenger of justice. Actually, he almost succeeded. But the flaw was, he ignored my parents' greed. Knowing where I was naturally, their first thought was to find me ASAP and suck my blood. Unfortunately, I knew Ethan's intentions in advance. Compared to Ethan's 10 or 20 grand versus having a Smith Group heir as a daughter-in-law later, they naturally wanted a rich daughter-in-law more, so they could suck more blood later. My parents came to the city for the first time. Vanessa specifically put aside her work and took them to play with me for 2 days. I didn't refuse. These people needed to see the world and taste some sweetness to better implement the next plan. Of course, it also let them understand better just how rich Vanessa was. They were incredibly solicitous to me. In front of Vanessa, we were the picture of a harmonious family. Kind father, filial son, friendly brothers. Before sending them off, Vanessa bought them many expensive gifts, making their eyes disappear in smiles. Before they left, I specifically sent Vanessa away. My mom opened her mouth to say something. I spoke first. Do you have money? The group was dumbfounded, looking at each other, as if saying, shouldn't we be the ones saying that? You guys are too greedy. For my sake, you refused that Mr. Ethan's 15 grand. Shouldn't you compensate us 15 grand? And before you went to college, you plotted for our money, plus the 10 grand from the blind date rich lady, you stole it all. We haven't asked for it back yet. My brother added, most importantly, you found a cash cow now. She's so rich. Your brother here still has no car, no house, no wife. Whatever happens, you should give us 2 million. The next second, my dad smacked him on the head. What are you saying? You only think of yourself. Don't we need money for retirement? At least 5 million. I sighed deeply in front of them. Sigh, if I really had that much money, why would I ask you for money? You know, how could a commoner like me squeeze into those wealthy families? Before I marry into Vanessa's family, I need to act like I don't want her money, only her person. I secretly observed their expressions, taking it all in. So from dating until now, I haven't spent a dime of hers, just to establish an image in her heart that I don't love her money. But you saw it. That Mr. Ethan, he's a rich young master, rich and handsome. Why did he give you money to expose me? Isn't it because he also likes Vanessa and wants to marry her? I analyzed everything carefully, seeing them nodding in agreement while sinking into thought. I revealed a hidden smile and doubled down, leaving aside a rich, handsome childhood friend who grew up with her. Why would Vanessa like a poor kid like me? They asked subconsciously why. I pointed to my handsome, clean face. Of course. It's because I look good and know how to dress. They looked at my face and realized. They understood women who doesn't love a handsome face. I frowned slightly, but being handsome requires a price. My salary at Smith Group is enough for me to live worry-free. But why haven't I saved a penny now? It's all spent on this face and buying decent clothes. Being handsome enough to be pleasing to the eye costs money. If I wore cheap street clothes costing a few bucks every day, would someone with billions in assets look at me? The three shook their heads like rattle drums. My dad's brow was like a mountain range, full of gullies. He finally compromised. Then we won't ask for your money for now. I shook my head. You saw it too. Now Ethan is targeting me more and more. I have to spend all my energy to keep Vanessa's eyes on me. My expenses are getting bigger and bigger. My credit cards are maxed out. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask you for money. Look, can you give me some? I said nonchalantly, anyway, you've already invested 15 grand in me. Even if you go to Ethan now, he won't give you a cent. Better to be ruthless and invest a bit more. I coaxed them step by step. After all, that's the Smith family with billions in assets. If I marry into her family, then get her pregnant, especially with a son, the Smith family assets will be my son's later, which is equivalent to mine. Let alone 15 grand, even 15 million would be no problem. You are the closest grandparents and uncle of the Smith family heir. Those coaxing words drilled into their brains, stimulating their greedy nerves. I reminded them with seemingly good intentions, it's best to give it in front of your future daughter-in-law to show you value me. When she marries me later, she will show the greatest sincerity to get you to agree to let me marry her. I emphasized greatest sincerity. They were indeed tempted. Greed shone in their eyes. The few of them huddled together, muttering and discussing for a while. Finally, in front of Vanessa, I happily accepted the bank card with 10 grand they gave me. Inside, I sneered. Idiots. Dowry? Keep dreaming. Cash cow? Wait for the next life. Just as my relationship with Vanessa was heating up day by day. One afternoon after work, Ethan stopped me, said he had something to talk about. When other colleagues had left, he came out of his office. He stood by the window, not speaking for a long time, just looking agitated. So he subconsciously pulled a pack of cigarettes and a lighter from his pocket. When I first met him, he didn't smoke. But after Vanessa pursued me, he started, and he smoked more and more heavily. Walking near him, you could smell the lingering scent of tobacco. The diamond-encrusted lighter lit the cigarette at his fingertips. He was about to put the cigarette to his mouth, but suddenly thought of something. He moved the cigarette away from his mouth in frustration, not smoking, but watching the ember slowly burn down. After a long time, I thought he would say something major, but it was just those same old wheels turning words about declaring sovereignty and never giving up on Vanessa. My ears were calloused from hearing it. Too lazy to argue with him, I turned to leave for the bathroom to splash some water on my face and calm down. But gradually, I actually smelled a wisp of smoke. And in the bathroom stall, smoke actually began to fill the air. Just then, the fire alarm rang. Alarm bells rang in my heart. I covered my nose and mouth with my clothes. Once out of the bathroom, the whole building was filled with smoke, and there were flickering flames. My heart sank. The fire was growing. I calmed down, trying to find the direction of the escape stairs. But as time passed, even though I covered my nose and mouth, oxygen depleted, carbon monoxide increased. My brain gradually became sluggish. I even stumbled and fell to the floor. When I tried to get up, I couldn't exert any strength. Breathing became difficult. And just then, I heard Ethan's weak cry for help nearby. "Someone save me. My hand is pinned." Like heaven heard his prayer. Vanessa actually burst in. But she saw me and Ethan lying on the ground at a glance. The first thing Vanessa said was, "Justin, are you okay? Don't be scared. I'm here to save you." Hearing this, Ethan's tone carried scattered sparks of hope. "Vanessa, I'm here. Please save me first. My hand is almost ruined. I still need to play piano." As my consciousness faded, my eyes closed. Silence for a few seconds. I heard a woman leading a few people walking straight toward me. Strong arms lifted me up. Between me and Ethan, Vanessa chose me. Vaguely, I heard Vanessa's urgent voice in my ear. "Ethan, wait for me. I will definitely come to save you." The last second before I lost consciousness, I saw Ethan's eyes, instantly dimmed to extreme disappointment. When I woke up in the hospital, the fire had been extinguished. I heard that in this fire, 3 died and 5 were injured. And one of the deceased was a colleague I knew. The colleague who greeted me with a big smile today. I would never see his smile again. Whatever fresh life was lost, I felt incredibly sorry. My mood couldn't help but become heavy. I heard that colleague could have gotten out himself, but he encountered the unconscious Ethan. In a situation where the firefighter could only save one, he ultimately chose to hand Ethan to the firefighter first, staying in the fire himself. Before the accident, he told the firefighter he would definitely go home. His daughter was waiting for him to buy her favorite Lego set. He promised he couldn't break his word. But in the end, he broke his word. Later, when investigating the source of the fire, through company surveillance, it was found that the cigarette Ethan lit was the source. Ash with sparks was flicked onto flammable curtains, and it got out of control. Life passing is but a moment. Later, my body recovered a bit, and I left the ward, wanting to go to the memorial hall to pay respects to the victims. But I saw Ethan and Vanessa entangled not far from the ward. Because Vanessa chose to save me. Ethan's hand was severely burned. He could never play piano again. He drove Vanessa, who had guarded his ward for days looking incredibly haggard, out. The look in his eyes toward Vanessa wasn't love anymore. It was full of hatred. "Get out. I never want to see you again. I hate you. You ruined my hands with your own hands. You are the butcher." Only when she was about to lose Ethan did she seem to have a sudden awakening mixed with fear. Ethan was important to her. She couldn't lose Ethan. She recalled many bits and pieces about Ethan. Her heart-pounding first love was because of Ethan. It was just that later, handsome and fresh scenery obscured her vision. Only when lost do people learn to cherish. Even when Ethan bit the flesh of her arm, viciously wanting to tear the flesh off, she just groaned, comforting him weakly and palely. "We will cure your hands." But Ethan let go in disgust and spat on her. "Get out. Stop disgusting me." The person who wouldn't let go became Vanessa. I came to the victim's memorial. I sincerely lit incense for the victim. I hope in his next life he won't be so kind, because it's really not worth it. His daughter blinked her big eyes, looking at her dad's black and white photo. Kind people saw on the news that her dad's last wish was to buy her a beautiful Lego set. She received many beautiful Lego blocks, but there was no smile on her face, because these weren't the ones she wanted most. Maybe she would never like Legos again. I saw the latest news on my phone. Ito Group heir about to hold wedding with C family heir Spencer C. The C family was a family comparable to the Smith family. When so many people lost their lives or were injured because of the initiator, even losing their lives to save him. He was mourning his dead love. He was crying over his ruined hands. He was making efforts for revenge for his lost love. The only thing he didn't feel guilty about was those fresh lives lost because of him. After all, in his eyes, how could anything be more important than his love? The day Ethan and Spencer registered their marriage, Vanessa got dead drunk, accompanied by her friends. I witnessed her regret. On the night Ethan and Spencer registered, Vanessa called him frantically. At first, the calls were hung up, but later the call connected. Coming from the phone were the harmonious sounds of a man and a woman. This was Ethan's method of revenge against Vanessa, marrying and sleeping with another woman. Vanessa felt cold all over. Her eyes were terrifying, but she couldn't hold a wine glass. The glass crashed to the floor. She seemed to lose her mind, picking up the glass shards, then gripping them hard, as if punishing herself. Glass shards embedded in her flesh, bright red blood dripping onto the snow-white carpet. It looked painful, but Vanessa couldn't feel a thing. I silently retreated a few steps. Later, while the C and Smith families were at each other's throats, while Vanessa was busy trying to win Ethan back and dealing with the C family, I received an acceptance letter from an Ivy League university abroad. I went abroad quietly and registered at the school. What a joke! If I didn't leave now, when would I? When Vanessa reacted, while being ruthless to herself, she would also comfortably push more responsibility onto me, as if she was innocent, just deceived by me, then use all means to punish me, to achieve the goal of atoning to Ethan. I knew that day would come, so I planned early to apply for study abroad, to prevent her from attacking me when she had her awakening about Ethan. Ethan was a complete love brain. When he knew Vanessa liked me, he chose to target me at work. And how much better was Vanessa? Because of Ethan's targeting back then, I resigned from Smith Group. I thought I would get rid of those two's harassment, return to a peaceful life. But when I applied to the next company, my work inexplicably encountered many obstacles. And coincidentally, the company's client was Vanessa. She appeared every time I encountered difficulties. Even when I faced workplace sexual harassment, she was the one who helped. If it were a normal guy, he would definitely fall for someone like that. After all, a beautiful, domineering CEO always saving you when you're in danger. But I knew clearly, the instigator behind the so-called workplace difficulties and sexual harassment was Vanessa. Just to get me, I knew I couldn't resist her hunting, so I pretended to be with her, while provoking Ethan. After all, because Vanessa liked me, he chose to lead the department colleagues to isolate me and make things difficult for me at work. I tried every way to get revenge on Vanessa. Adding salt and sugar to the food was a small revenge, ruining the contract with the partner too. If I could see Vanessa's company suffer hundreds of millions in losses because of it, I would be too happy. Unfortunately, that love-brained Ethan ruined my plan. Later, I didn't find a better way to get revenge. But soon the opportunity came. Vanessa got my number from somewhere. From the other side of the ocean, her voice was dark and gritted teeth. Justin, was lying to me fun? I giggled. Fun. Really too fun. For me, you hit Ethan for the first time. For me, you made Ethan, who has stomach issues, drink a whole bottle of hard liquor. Poor Ethan went to the hospital that night. My voice couldn't hide the schadenfreude. But he was discharged the next day because he said you were used to his cooking. Too bad the meal he dragged his sick body to make for you, you gave to me. By the way, was my cooking good? I made it specially for you. Every dish had at least 5 spoons of salt and 5 spoons of sugar. Spent a lot of time on the toilet, didn't you? I heard the sound of porcelain smashing on the other end. But the angrier she was, panting with rage on the other end, I heard teeth grinding. Justin, you snake-hearted man. Watch out or you'll fall into my hands. Oh, I'm so scared. I continued to provoke. She threatened grimly. I can't hurt you, but have you forgotten? You still have relatives in the country. Your dad, Mom, brother, do you not care about them? I was just about to speak, but a perfect plan suddenly formed in my brain. 2 birds with 1 stone. I pretended to panic. What do you want to do to my parents and brother? I tell you, if you dare hurt them, I won't let you off. Vanessa was very pleased, thinking she caught my weak point. If you don't meet me at the designated place within 3 days, then, whether your parents and brother are missing an arm or a leg, I can't be sure. I wanted to perform a bit more, but she hung up. She must be triumphant now, thinking she controlled the situation and could drag me before Ethan to atone severely. Soon, the agreed time arrived. I actively called Vanessa. I begged humbly. I beg you, don't hurt them, she said eerily, but the time is up. Tell me, should I chop off a hand or a foot? With one command, I heard familiar, blood-curdling screams. She gave me a final ultimatum. Give you another half hour. If you don't appear, they'll be missing more than just a hand. I begged urgently, wait for me. I'm coming. As if to warn me, she sent me a photo of a bloody, severed hand. I called the police immediately and sent the photo to them. The address was so detailed, really thanks to her. After reporting to the police, I contacted major domestic media reporters, leaked the big scoop. After doing all this, I was a bit tired, slept for a few hours, leisurely picked up my phone, saw the most sensational news in the country today. Smith Group heir, Ms. Smith, arrested for kidnapping and malicious injury. Various photos were uploaded. Vanessa earned herself silver bracelets handcuffs, looking like a stray dog as she was escorted to the police car by officers. And 3 familiar faces were pixelated, carried on stretchers covered in blood and flesh. Because of the vicious incident caused by the Smith Group heir, Smith Group stocks plummeted. This gave Spencer a chance. With lightning speed, he frantically acquired Smith stocks, becoming the final winner behind the incident, eating this big pie. But I had no regrets. As for Ethan, Vanessa was sentenced. Instead, it awakened Ethan's sympathy. All resentment vanished. He visited the prison diligently. If I met Ethan and Vanessa, my nightmare would be Vanessa's insane revenge, forcing me into a dead end, breaking my limbs, or even death. But I am a cactus covered in thorns. Whoever dares to hurt me will be met with thorns all over their body. Why should I pay for their love? And what right do they have to intervene in my life for their so-called love? Later, Ethan visiting the prison often for another woman caused dissatisfaction in the C family. Finally, Ethan and Spencer divorced. It said Ethan is still waiting for Vanessa to get out of prison. It's just that Vanessa had multiple crimes punished together and was sentenced to many years. I can only say, I wish them happiness and that they stay locked together forever. As for me, Lily accepted my proposal, and we are preparing for a trip around the world. Life is still long, but my life is no longer something anyone can interfere with. It is only in my hands. Life is still long, I'll enjoy it slowly.